Alrighty, I'm gonna let them in.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. We're letting folks in just right now, so we'll get started in a few minutes. Perfect, and you should see my screen. It should say that Drupal 10 Training and Support PowerPoint slide. If you can't see it, please put something in the chat letting me know so I can fix it.
We can see it.
Thank you, Krista. Perfect, and we're still letting folks in, so we'll get started in just a couple of minutes. I hope everyone's having a great Wednesday morning, halfway through the week, almost there. Perfect. Just letting some more folks in, so bear with us while we do that. It's giving us a few minutes to make sure everyone is settled in. Perfect. And let me just give it a few more seconds to make sure we don't have any stragglers. But this may be our group for today. So let me... Perfect. Okay, I don't see anyone else coming into the lobby. If anyone does, we'll just let them in. Good morning, everyone. It is Wednesday, halfway through the week. Thank you for joining today. This is going to be a basic overview of the CMS platform, going over the resources that are available for you, and also covering some basic tools of the website platform. This training is mostly intended for new users, people who either had difficulty scheduling a overview through the partner support channels, or just need a little brush up on the tools available. There is a chat feature if you have any questions about the platform, if you have any questions really about anything at all, feel free to pop something in the chat, and we have several people from Tyler's side of things that can help you answer your questions. I have Cecilia, Barry, Casey, Duncan, Alfredo. So we have an army of individuals who can help you answer those questions, but this is going to be treated more or less like a lecture of sorts. We should have some time at the end to go over any questions verbally as well. I know, just like y'all, I do have a hard stop at 11, so if you have any questions, put them in the chat. That way we have everything ready to go. And if you guys are ready, I am ready. Let's go ahead and just get moving. So first things first, just some housekeeping. We do have a resource site that's available to y'all. It's cms.colorado.gov. Someone will put it in the chat for easy access as well, and I'll go through it too. But this is a resource website that's available to you that has accessibility tools, some of the stuff coming from OIT. We also have written and step-by-step recording tutorials as well. And additionally, we do have some FAQ stuff regarding user roles, regarding anything like that in reference to the platform. So just in case if nothing is covered here that you were looking for, it should be available on the website as well. Additionally, you can reach out to partner support. That's our dedicated partner contact service, where if you have any questions, if you have any feedback, anything like that, feel free to reach us through there so that we can also keep track of everything that's in the works so that we can address it in a timely manner. Additionally, when it comes to housekeeping, that this session is recorded and will be made available in the future. And you probably heard this every single time that we've hosted these trainings, is to make space and take space. Your feedback is super important to us. Being able to provide it to us as well is something that we find extremely valuable. So if there's any features that you want to see on the website, If there's any updates, anything like that, feel free to reach out and provide that feedback to us so that we can address any of those items for y'all. So don't be afraid to reach out to us to address anything. Perfect. And let me go ahead and swap screens real fast so we can just go through the CMS website before we get too far into it. And those who are just joining, this is the training for new users on the platform. This will go over basic tools that you have access to on the Drupal platform, regarding also some of the resources that are available to you as well. If you have any questions, please put it in the chat. That way that we can answer them for you. But this will be more or less a lecture style meeting. So let me go ahead and switch around my screen so we can look at that CMS site. Give me 1 second. Perfect. You should see the CMS site now. If you don't, definitely raise some hands, let me know. But this is that resource site here. This is in flux always, so we are always making changes to this guide. We're adding additional resources to it as well, and we're looking forward to updating it and providing some new tools. But first and foremost, just going over what is available here. We do have a VPAT, which is the Voluntary Product Accessibility Template. So if you're curious about what we are doing to ensure that the platform is going to be accessible, it's kind of like a roadmap. So definitely take a look at this guy if you have a chance. This is the most recent addition to the website. So if you have any questions regarding accessibility, this is a really good document to take a look at. Additionally, it may even let you know that this accessibility concern that I had is already being addressed according to this document. So I know that if I were to raise this flag, my name could be included on the contact list for when this accessibility update is rolled out. So even if you see something that you've already flagged before or you've seen flagged before, definitely put your name in the ring so that we can make sure that you're updated with everyone else when these updates go out. So there's no such thing as redundancy. Being able to contact us about an issue that we're already aware of, just make sure that you are notified when that fix is rolled out. Additionally, we are making efforts to make sure that the platform notes releases are available prior to the release of an update. So definitely keep an eye out for a few days prior to an update, just showing you all the new stuff that's coming out, all of the fixes that are being rolled out as well. So that is something new that we've also introduced as well, is being able to have that prior communication about any updates to your platform. And scooching down just a little bit more, this is mostly geared for new users. So if there's any new users in this call, there's a couple of mistakes I like to cover when it comes to building your web page. Whenever you get your template site or your site that you're kind of getting handed to, I know lots of people step into the role when someone steps away. There's just a couple of things that you should take note of, and that's deleting your homepage and deleting your footer. Even veterans do this, where you are not happy with your homepage anymore, you want to start from scratch. It makes sense to be able to delete it and start from there. However, it's kind of like pulling out a structurally important Jenga block from the Tower Lake game. Everything comes crumbling down. That's because everything is kind of referenced to that homepage. So we want to make sure that when you're wanting to make big changes to your homepage, that you're not deleting it, you're just editing the content that exists there. And I'll show you where those buttons live so that you can avoid them, but just some things to kind of stick into your brain. Same with your site footer. All of your sites come with 2 footers, and we can kind of see it here at the bottom of the CMS site where we have this dark gray box, and then we have a darker gray box. So this lighter gray is called the custom footer. You can edit it, you can change it, you can even omit it from the site if you feel like you don't need it. However, this darker gray footer is called the universal or global footer. Those are synonymous, they're interchangeable. When it comes to this footer, this is a lot harder to delete than your homepage, but it does happen, and you'll see the same thing happen where all sorts of spots on your site are going to start to crumble away and not work as well. You might get some 404 or 502s. So just be wary when you are making changes structurally to your site that you're leaving your universal or global footer alone. Perfect. And the rest of these should feel like common sense. We do have some really nice keyboard shortcuts. If you want a handy list of keyboard shortcuts, please reach out to me. I have some that include Mac and Windows users. So if you want a faster way to do things, whether it's copying, pasting, stripping, formatting before pasting something, feel free to reach out to me and I can send you that list both for Mac and for Windows users. So I do have you both covered. And I find that can make building the website so much easier. You don't have to click around as much, everything you can do on your keyboard. So let me go ahead and back it up real quick. And just want to show you some other things that are here, some tips and tricks. This kind of lives with, it's sort of just some helpful little tools. So when it comes to image size recommendations, the system is smart enough to take a lot of your large images and create thumbnail versions of them when you embed them, either within the basic text editor, a WYSIWYG editor, anything like that. However, I come from a background of digital design and illustration. My big thing is editing an image to fit in that space prior to uploading it to the website. This is also another free tool that you can use. This is a free image resizer from Adobe. It is super duper handy. This is also something, I'm gonna put this in the chat for y'all. It's free, you just need a Google account to use it. And what is so nice about it, let me go ahead and pop open an image, is that it has preset templates for it. So even if you're just looking to size something for social media or anything like that, this is a really great tool to use. So you can see all of these templates. And then when you select custom and you unlock this aspect, you can craft this image to fit within your desired specification. So let's just say that I want an image like this, and then because I've already cropped it to what I want to be, you can drag your image around to fit within that. So I put that in the chat just in case if anyone's interested in a free tool to edit their images. I know sometimes it is so disappointing to get an image into the system, get it uploaded to a Jumbotron, for example, and find that your image is way too big and it's getting cropped, or it's not quite big enough and it just looks kind of crunchy and grainy. It also has some enhancement tools as well. So just a really great free tool. Just wanted to show you guys that this time around, because I know sizing images can be kind of a handful sometimes. So let me go ahead and back up and talk about color values. You'll notice that there are several spots on your website where you can change the color of things. However, it's probably a little unclear about which each color is. So here's a list of every option that you have. This also applies to your main navigation and your footer. So if you ever want to change the color of your footer or your main navigation, you can submit a ticket to partner support or reach out to me. It's a super easy fix. We can change the color as much as you like. So if you have a few that you want to try on, definitely reach out so we can try them together, and then you can decide which one you prefer. And just in case you're wanting to kind of take your color scheme from your website and move it into the print and physical media world, we do have all of these classifications for these colors. CYMK is for print, RGB is on your screen, hex is that general identifier for that color. So we do have all of that information handy for you so that you don't have to find it either. So if you want consistency across your digital and print media, we've got you covered there. And real quick, I just want to touch on embed code help. So there is a space for you to embed iframes. I just want to note one thing is that if you're using custom embed code within your site, whether you're customizing buttons or anything like that, it's important to note that that embed code, you are responsible for its accessibility, and you're also responsible for fixing it if an update breaks it. Because we didn't write the code ourselves, because it was an effort put upon by the partner, you just have to make sure that whenever you're using any custom work on your site, that you are maintaining it in the same way. That also kind of covers saying, hey, I'm leaving. I need to make sure that people can continue to make edits to this site, and I know that I have custom work on this site. It's important that you leave a guide or a Bible of sorts for those who are coming into the site to make those edits to the site if there is a lot of custom code on there. So just keep that in mind. However, on to more fun stuff is that we do have generators for social media feeds, and we also have templated code that you can use. I know lots of state people are a Google shop. A lot of their things live within the Google documents. So if you have lots of Google Docs or even folders of documents that you want embedded onto your site, it's a good idea to leverage some of these iframes. Oops, sorry, I'm gonna go ahead. Sorry, someone's mic was unmuted. So these are just a handy way to get lots of documents into the website, especially if you're a Google shop, because the platform is not a file management solution. If you have lots of documents from Google, this is a really great way to display them onto the site, especially if you have a folder that you want them all to live in for people to access. 1 second. Fabulous. Okay. And just to make sure when you join, please be sure that your mic is muted. I have one of those brains that I can't think if someone else is talking. Perfect. So let me go ahead and back out of embed codes. Additionally, if it helps, if you're one of those hands-on learners, we do have more a curriculum style training as well that's available to you. So if you prefer using something like this is also available. Just want to show you what is here. So all in all, this is the CMS platform. We do have this feedback button right here. So if there's something that you're not seeing on the website that you want to see, if there's something that you want to see even brought to the platform itself, this is going to send you right to that partner support email so that you can make those requests. And then also you can bring up any sort of feedback as well. So there's several spots where you can reach us here. And I promise the last thing I'm going to touch on the CMS platform is going to be your user roles. So just in case if you're coming in brand new and you're also now the new user manager for your website, whenever someone comes in, you can reference this list of just a breakdown of what each role does. This way, you have a better idea of what you're kind of getting into, what you're assigning to folks as well. So just wanted to make that available. And then right there as well as that feature request form right here. So lots of ways to send us feedback. We want you to send us feedback. So definitely take advantage of that. But let's kind of navigate into being able to build content. We're going to start to look at the basic building blocks of Drupal. So let me go ahead and push this along. And first and foremost, I want to talk about the authenticated view. That is your first sign-in. That is being able to look at all of the tools that are available to you and being able to edit your platform. So if you have not yet created an account on your website, you're always first and foremost going to add a /user to your URL. And that's going to take you to this sign-in page. So preferably, you will be using a Google account to make this sign-on. This is called single sign-on. It eliminates the username password requirement. It is the fastest and most secure way to access the platform. And additionally, you won't have this issue where password resets, being able to reset your password, you've forgotten it, you have to go back and forth to get it fixed. Logging in with Google is just going to send you out the other side every single time. So that's why it's so handy. Though, if you do prefer to still use a username and password, though it is not the preferred method, you can create an account and follow through those steps here. But we're going to log in with Google today. Since we've already logged in, I'm using Chrome. It may look different if you're using Edge or Firefox or anything like that, but because I'm using Chrome, it already has accounts that I'm signed in on that I can choose from. I'm simply just going to select the account. It may prompt for the Google account's password upon your first sign on, but it's not going to ask for that again unless you've cleared the cookies on your browser and all of that browser data is no longer there. So just keep that in mind. And here is that authenticated view. We see our toolbar sitting at the very top of our screen. Additionally, we'll also notice that on pages, we also have these buttons here. So we know this is our home page, right? And if you remember back to what I was talking about on the CMS platform, this delete button here is on the home page. But remember, we do not want to delete the home page. We would rather select edit instead. And if your home page has lots of rows and cards, we can just remove all of these rows and cards and start from scratch there. So one more time, just because I like to really hammer in it, it is You want to make sure that you're not deleting your homepage. You want to make sure that you're not deleting your global footer. If you do need to make massive changes to your homepage, you just want to edit it, just gut it, and then refill it. Perfect. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about the structure of the site. This is more of a glossary, putting faces to names and all that stuff, because we will be using jargon and communications and anything like that. So this is definitely important. So when you're signed in, you get this black and white toolbar that says at the very top of your screen. I'm going to have a few more buttons than everyone here probably, but you should see, if you're the main content manager and user admin for your site, you should see content, structure, configuration, people. If you're a user admin, if you're not a user admin, you won't see people, and then help. So at any point, if you're noticing that you have these roles, but you are missing buttons that you should have access to, please reach out to partner support. Please let us know so that we can fix the roles on your account so that you have access to those things. I like to cover what people should see when they have certain roles so that they know and are aware of what they should have, just in case if they don't have it, we can get it for them. Underneath it, we do have a utility nav. This is optional. You may not see this immediately available on your page. This lives in your structures and in your menus. And when you edit your menus, you're going to find your utility menu. It's the second from the bottom. It just allows you to have simple plain text links at the very top of your page. So you can either do this with an alert, or if you prefer to have something static that follows people around all over the site, this is a really good place to put those links. It's different from your main navigation. It more or less is like just a button at the top of your page. To your right, it's going to have Google Translate. This is 70+ languages, I believe. It is automatically installed in every single site. Every site should have it. If you notice that your site does not have Google Translate, send in a partner support ticket, reference Google Translate, say that it's missing from your site. If you can provide the URL for your sites as well, that would be super helpful, and we can get Google Translate set back up on there. So definitely do your due diligence, make sure that it is here so that you can meet those guidelines. Awesome. And underneath our utility nav and our Google Translate, we have the search feature. So what's nice about the search feature is that it is powered by Google's SEO. It should be automatically indexing content on your site every 24 hours, I believe. So when your site gets that backup, Google's SEO is also tabulating that. If you're noticing that content you've created is also not populating in those searches, that's another great opportunity to reach out to us and make sure that we have everything set up correctly so that things can be findable in your search. But it's nice to know that the days of manually indexing things are kind of behind us. And everything is searchable within that platform. This also takes metadata and additional descriptive text that you can add to content to make things easier to find. So you even have the power to add additional search engine optimizations in your hand. So if you know you have something that has lots of legal jargon perhaps, and you know that there's layman terms for certain things, you can add that context to the metadata. You can add that context to additional description fields to make things easier to find for folks. I know that gets important around tax season, around election season, stuff like that. So definitely something to keep in mind. To our left of our search, we do have our home button. This refreshes your home page or takes you back to the home page if you are somewhere else on the site. Also, it is your logo space. So if you have a logo and you haven't had it up on your site yet, this could either be in the future or presently. Feel free to, again, send us an email to partner support. We can get that logo put up for you as well. This is something that we do have to do for you, and we will also install the alt text for you as well. So you don't have to worry about your logos and alt text or anything like that. Just send over the logo. If you do have a specific alt text that you would like to use, send that over as well so that we can get that covered for you. Awesome. Underneath our home button and our search, this is our main navigation. So if you remember back to what I was talking about earlier with colors, these are one of those spaces that you can change the color of. So if you don't like this blue, and blue is the default color, you can change it to anything on that entire list. So if you remember, that lives in our tips and tricks, that's in our color values, and you can choose anything from this list here. Perfect. So definitely reach out. That's something that we can do for you as well, not something that you have access to. And the same goes for footer. So if you're looking at your footer, oh, 1 second. If you're looking at your footer and you don't like this lighter color, you want something darker, maybe you want more of a block of dark color down here. This is another thing you can reach out to us and we can make that change for you as well. Awesome. And it's kind of like your hotbar. Your most important links will live here. If you don't have a lot of pages, all of your pages could even live here. And yeah, just the main navigation. Underneath your main navigation, this is an optional thing. This is on landing pages only. And landing pages are like your home pages for things. This is where you land. This is called the Jumbotron. This is something where the image size recommendations are extremely specific and very strict, where you want an image that is 450 pixels tall and then 2,115 pixels long. So you kind of want something that's short but long. And the reason why that is that so it can fit in this banner space. And also, if it's too small, it's going to get stretched out and look really crunchy and not super cohesive with the rest of your site. And if it's too large, it's going to crop funny. So I think we can even see it. See, this image is probably not long enough, but super, super tall. So we get half of it cropped horizontally, but it also, the quality is not there because it's being forced to stretch to fill that space. So just keep those numbers in mind. That's 450 pixels tall, 2115 pixels long. Awesome. And this is optional. You don't have to have a Jumbotron if you don't want it. It's just a nice way to have a banner image on your page. But moving on, we're going to go into the actual meat and potatoes of your website. So this is going to be the actual content. When you go to edit this space, you're going to find this in this content button up here. But I want to talk a little bit about how this is arranged. So this is currently on the rows and cards layout. So this is going to be, you can kind of think of it as a large standing bookshelf where we are installing the frame of our shelf by creating the page. Right? And now we just need to figure out how many shelves do we need for how many books that we have. So I can tell on this particular web page that I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows. So I have quite a few rows on here. And the way I can kind of tell is we've made it easy where we've changed the colors of the backgrounds of these things. So this white space is one row, this gray space is the second one. But you can also tell because there's this white space that separates these things. This also goes for cards. So cards and columns are synonymous. You may hear me use them interchangeably, but just keep in mind cards and columns are synonymous. So on our first shelf, we have 2 books on it, right? That we're separating this row into 2 columns, and in these columns we're filling the space with certain content. So in this instance we have a media card. So a media card is for your images, and then to the right of it we have a basic card, and basic card is taking a text editor and being able to squish it down into a smaller space. We can see the same things are right here. Underneath it again, media card, basic card, and then here are icon cards. These are really great ways to create a button on your website. This button is essentially, you can add media to be linked to it, so that can be PDFs, anything like that, or you can link to internal pages, so that's pages existing already on your platform, or you can link external items. So if you're leaving the platform, you can also link that to your buttons. And this is also powered by Font Awesome. This is a icon graphic provider. Here we go. 33,000 icons. We pay for the pro subscription, so you have access to all 33,000. I'm going to put this in the chat as well so you have access to it. But this is essentially adding a nice, neat graphic to your buttons. What's also nice about this is that this includes licensed imagery. So that's logos, that's brands, stuff like that, social media icons. It's all covered here. Oops, went too far. Perfect. And then underneath it, we also have feeds. So your feeds, these guys are going to be good for press releases, blogs, news articles. So creating these articles, you'll also find this in content, but we'll get there in just a second. And to the right, this is an example of that open embed card with the Facebook feed iframe. And remember, whenever we want to find a feed generated for us that's going to live in this embed code help on the cms.colorado platform, and you're going to find this right here. And it's going to take you directly to the developers, and that's going to be for Facebook, for Twitter. It's going to take them to their very own feed generator. So it's not a third party or anything like that. It is a generator provided to by the actual developers of those platforms. Perfect. And then we also have a map card. So if you guys have a physical office that is located that people can come and visit, you can create a map card, and this is interactive. This is another thing that's powered by Google, where you can directly navigate to that particular space, find directions to get there, and everything is opened up for you nice and easy. And so that is 6 shelves on our bookshelf with all of these different books that live on it. And underneath, so once we're done with our content space, underneath, this is our footer. So this lives in structure. However, if you have structure admin, when you hover over your custom footer, and you'll see this little thing all over the website, there's this little pencil icon where you can easily navigate to edit it, so you don't have to find it in structure and your blocks or anything like that. You'll find it right here, so you can make direct edits to the footer. And that's only for the custom footer. Again, this universal footer, this is not changeable. This is legislated content. And if any changes do need to be made to this particular footer, we would do that for you. That's an effort that we would take on for you. So now let's just look at creating a page on the website. So when we click on content, we can see all of our pages in here, but we can also see some events, jumbo slides, articles. So there's more than just pages that you can create in this content space. When you click add content, you have all of these additional options. Just due to time, we're not going to cover all of them today. This is just a basic training. However, you can reach out to partner support. You can request a full overview. It will be 60 to 90 minutes like this. And we can get really into the nitty-gritty when it comes to this additional stuff. So you don't even necessarily need to be beholden to just this space. You can also claim additional time from us and say, hey, I visited this training. I saw so much more that I wanted to see. Can we please schedule time to talk a little bit more about that nitty-gritty? And I'm more than happy to find some time to really talk about some of these other content items. But let's just look at basic pages for right now. So we I'm just sorry, I'm popping open the chat so I can make sure I can keep an eye on things. Perfect.
And Sunny, I will take care of these for you.
Okay.
So again, if you have questions, my voice is a little choppy, but I will be able to respond through the actual chat. Thank you, Sunny.
Perfect. Awesome. Thanks, Cecilia. And again, there'll be time and space for questions at the very end, so you want to make sure that we have time for that. So when we open up our basic page, we can see that we are presented with a WYSIWYG editor front and center. WYSIWYG stands for what you see is what you get. It's abbreviated as such. So if you ever see us refer to it like that, that is what it stands for. And what's really nice about the WYSIWYG editor is that you can create entire pages just using the text editor, or you can use them with rows and cards as we kind of discussed, or you can even use a combination of both items. So you can say, this page is simple. I just want a few accordions for my meetings minutes and my agendas. So I'm just going to fill in this space, add some accordions, and link up those documents and call it a day. Or if you feel like you need more organization, like you like the idea of your page being split in half between text and images, that's where you can kind of start to leverage rows as well. So just looking at our basic page editor, first and foremost, you always want to give it a page name. One thing to note is that when you do give it a name, this is this is going to reflect in the URL. So if you have a particularly long page name, like maybe it is a whole bunch of words, lots and lots of legal jargon, you can navigate to this URL alias right here. You can uncheck this generate automatic URL alias. This is essentially saying whatever you name this page, that's what the URL is going to be. And then instead you can place a different alias here. So we can say, we just want this to say test when this says test page. So let's go ahead and save this and see that reflected. Oh, maybe it didn't like my /. Must be missing something. In general, this is a good way to have that alias just be set up. I will definitely.
Yeah. Sunny, let us try another one. I believe that we already have a content type that is named. So if you want to call it something like, I don't know, a different name.
I call it pages. Okay. There, thank you,
there
Cecilia.
You go. Absolutely.
You can't have duplicate aliases, which is probably a really good thing. Otherwise, your system would get all sorts of confused. But we can say that this is test page, but when we look at our URL bar, this says pages like I told it to. So just in case, if you have a really long page name and your URL is just completely out of control, you have the ability to rein it in and find an even better solution for that. So let's just go back and edit. And you'll also notice, let me back it up for a second, this pink background. So this pink background indicates that this is a drafted state, that this page is not public. It is only for authenticated users to review and make changes to. So definitely something to keep in mind is that you do have the ability to keep pages in draft until you're ready to publish them. And you can also unpublish pages as well. So if you prefer to unpublish a page to make changes to and then republish it, that is also an option available to you. But let's go ahead and just edit this guy again. And let's take a look at the WYSIWYG editor and what we can do here. So I'm gonna grab some handy dandy Latin. Give me 1 second. Perfect. And you'll notice something. I copied, so this is that lorem ipsum. I can provide this if anyone wants to have this placeholder text, if anyone wants to link to this. But you can see that I'm copying this from an external source. So something funky is going to happen when I do that. So when we go here, we take our page and we just Control V, no stripping of any styling, anything like that. This font may look right at first, but when I click this source button, and I definitely highly recommend if you are moving content from one source to another, that you are looking at the source code when you're done copying to make sure that any external styling is no longer there. And this is one of my handy little keyboard shortcuts. I will put this in the chat myself. This is Control. So you're holding Control and Shift at the same time, and V as in Victor. This strips the styling. So I can look at this and say this span, style, WebKit, background color, font, stuff like this does not belong here, right? Because when I hit save on this draft, this text is not going to flow with the styling. It's super small. It has this white background behind it. The font's not supported and the color's not supported. You can easily find yourself in accessibility trouble and additionally just difficulty managing that content. So when let's just hit another paragraph and hit Control Shift, we're holding it at the same time and selecting V. Oops. There we go. We already see a visual difference. The font is back to its standard self. It is not this darker black, and everything looks right as rain when we look at it in the source, where we only have these paragraph breaks indicating that we've added space in between text, but we're not seeing all of this extra stuff live in there. So definitely review your site. Make sure if you see any weird fonts, anything like that, these guys live in here. And I'm definitely aware that there is the request for fonts to come back, all that good stuff. That is coming in a future update. If you want updates on that particular release, send in a partner supports ticket. Say, hey, I want to be included on communications when those new fonts get rolled out, and we will get you wrapped up into that. So we definitely know that there is a hunger for new fonts. So please be sure that if you want to be looped in on those communications, and we're doing that effort to make sure patch notes are sent early, but if you want even more insight, if you want even more inclusion onto those updates, submit a partner support ticket asking to be included, and we will do that. Perfect. So we have nice, neat fonts. So we want to go ahead and get rid of this other stuff, right? Because we don't need it. Perfect. And we can see that we have lots of buttons here. This is that WYSIWYG, right? This is the what you see is what you get. All of these buttons do something. First and foremost, I want to talk about being able to create a link. So there's a couple of ways you can link things. There's a right way and there's a less right way, as it usually goes. But when we highlight this piece of text, and actually let me zoom in because I know these buttons are so small. We see this chain link icon right here. This allows you to search through the content. So content's going to refer to like articles, pages, events, things like that. And additionally, you can also search for actual files itself. So these are going to be PDFs, media items. When it comes to linking PDFs to text, we don't want to link them as a media item. We want to link them as a file item. And we know it's a file because we see this .pdf, which is the file type, .png file type, .docx file type. We want to see this nice long URL when we're uploading these documents because, and I'll do it both ways so we can see the difference, but this is going to open up in a new tab nice and neat right away. So when I pop open advanced, I'm also going to want to make sure my open a new window slider is set to on. I'm going to hit save. So, and then when we hit save on this page and we look at our text, we'll notice two things. Our text is back to normal because we stripped that styling from where we copied this placeholder text. And this little box with an arrow peeking out from it, this is indicating that this is going to open in a new tab when I click on this link, which it does. This is good for user retention. It keeps them on the page itself while navigating to what they need. This is user-friendly in the way that people do not have to open the file, then go back and find their place on the website again. It just opens it right up for them. However, when we upload it as, when we link it as a media item instead, so let's go ahead and highlight this text. Click this link button right here, and we're going to find the exact same document. I'm going to scroll all the way down, and it's this guy right here. You'll notice that this URL looks different. And we'll talk a little bit about this as well. This is considered a node. So rather than using a URL pathway to find something, it is using this numerical identifier to pull the content for you. So this is really, really great when it comes to linking internal pages. Not so handy when it comes to media items, and you'll see in just a second. So let me go ahead and make sure that this is opening in a new window. So just so you can see again, this says media 1636, but when I click on this, I get this nice long pathway instead. So let's hit save. Let's open up that other document so you can see why there's a preferred way. So this is linked as the media type. We open it up. It opens another page where it's then viewable. This is an image, not a PDF, so that did not work out. But you'll see it will open up in a new page. So let me go ahead and find a PDF to pop in here. Hopefully. Oh, that's an image as well. Looks like we got rid of that PDF. But you would normally see that it would open up in a new page, and then it would ask you again to confirm to open the media item. So that is opening 2 additional tabs, so we only need 1 to display this one document. When linking it as a file type, opens it right up with no issues. So that's why there's a preferred method for that guy. going back in here, let's talk about embedding images. So we have them in our media library. So we want to make sure that we're pulling from the media library. You do have the option to upload from the computer. Just one thing to note is that when you upload from the computer, you do have to add additional alternative text. While when you upload it to the media library, you would have already kind of front-ended that effort. But what's nice is that, let's say we're uploading from our media library. We're going to go ahead and upload this guy right here. And we can see, you heard what I was talking about earlier, where things automatically thumbnail when you upload them, these image types, they automatically scrunch themselves down to fit in this space. You do have the option to display the full content, and you can see why it turned into a thumbnail, because this image is pretty chunky. You do have the option to toggle whether or not you want the thumbnailed version or you want the full content version. And you can also arrange it to wrap with text or break text. You can add links to images as well. And you can see when I click this little eye with the strike through it, you have the alternative text that's already been written. But if you get feedback, either from a constituent, a partner, anything like that, this is the alternative text that's on the image already is not satisfactory, you can simply ask for the URL, edit the page directly, and then override the alternative text from here rather than having to dig through your media library to find that image and then edit it from there. Clicking these little arrows will also include paragraph breaks too. So at any point, if you need to add more text underneath this image, you can. And then let's talk about accordions real quick, because I know we're starting to bump up against time and I want to make sure I cover some structure stuff. Your row title, this is going to be the space in the accordion that's clickable that people will click on to unfold the content. This row title, let's just go ahead and say this is our agenda for October. You can simply place text in here so that you can link up these documents. Let's say October 4th agenda. Just using the exact same steps we use, we're going to go ahead and highlight this text, click this link it button. We're going to find that document that we want linked up. And remember, we want it under this file section, not the media section. We want that .pdf. We want this URL pathway. And what's nice about this pathway is that your URL can change. So if you're, for example, if demo.colorado.gov changed to demotest.colorado.gov, this pathway will still work because it's not including that original domain. It's just including all of the stuff after it. So it will still follow the pathway even if you happen to update your URL, which is handy. It works a lot like a node, but not quite. So let's go ahead and make sure that is selected on. Perfect. And we can see our accordion is now here. Just for fun, I do want to show you how to link an internal page, just so we can talk a little bit about nodes. So let's go ahead and find our home page. So you'll see that when I'm trying to link an internal page, I can search for the page itself, and it's going to show me this content item. When I click on it, we're going to see that it did not give me a URL pathway. It gave me a node and then a set. You'll see anywhere between 4 and 6 digits. This node, again, is this identifier for this piece of content so that the system can say, oh, you're looking for content piece number 9999. I know how to get to there, regardless of what your URL is. So if you are currently working maybe in the test environment, if you have a full support project with us and you want to make sure that your URLs, when you're linking stuff internally, all of those things have those test like extra domain in there. This will make sure that all of your links are going to carry over smoothly. If you have a site already in production, this is going to feel probably a little less relevant, but I want to make sure that everyone in here kind of gets the full scope of things, because if you have a full support project, that's kind of what that looks like. But we're going to go ahead and slide this to on. Say, yep, I want this to link there. And so now when we hit save, we're going to see these things as well. So we see our accordion, we see our image in here, and then we also have this node that takes us right back to our home page like I told it to. So that is your basic pages. That's that WYSIWYG editor. When it comes to your rows and cards, you do have several different types that you can choose from. There's equal columns. That just means that these column spaces, regardless of how many columns you choose to have, whether you're splitting the row in half, whether you're splitting it in thirds, fourths, fifths, they are all going to share the same amount of space. This is really handy if you're all using the same card type. So if you want a row of buttons, equal columns is really good for a row of icon cards. If you want a row of images, that is also good for that. However, I do find that sometimes when you're trying to pair text and images next to each other, uneven columns is a little more handy. So when it comes to uneven columns, we're going to go ahead and add this row. We can see we're going to get a basic card right off the bat, but there's this columns tab. Here's where you can kind of say, hey, this is how much space I want everything on this row to take up. So this is a way that you can kind of control the space in which you couldn't with equal columns before. We are up against time, so I don't want to talk about it too much. But again, if you want a more thorough go through on this, definitely reach out to partner support. We can get some time scheduled for you so that we can definitely get into the nitty gritty of this. But I want to show everyone layouts really quick, and I want to talk about structure items as well. So let me go ahead and back out. Let's go find our content button. And when we click on add content, there's also now layouts. Layouts is a lot like having a page dedicated to being rows and cards pretty much. But what's nice about it is that you can have several different column spaces, several different items that live in there. And it's a lot easier to drag and drop content from one row to another. So I know that's something that we've wanted for a long time, is being able to take a card from one row and bring it up to a different one. Layouts is a really good way to do that. Let me go ahead and name this guy. You can add a featured image. This is a lot like a Jumbotron. So if you want a banner image on a website, whenever you see featured image, that's what it's talking about. You can also add body text here, but I just want to go ahead and hit save so we can take a deeper look at what this looks like when you create it. So you may be tempted to hit edit when you first make your layout, but you're actually going to click on layout instead, and this is going to show you everything. So we can kind of think of sections as our columns, right? This is where we're saying, hey, for this particular page, I want 3 columns, I want 2 columns, right? So we can split the space up half and half. We can add this section, and you can add blocks in here. Currently, there is content blocks and simple blocks. Simple blocks are your WYSIWYG editor. So all those things that we've just seen before, this is just another space. It's your basic card. It's your WYSIWYG editor. Let me go ahead and exit out. And when we talk about content blocks, these are going to be those individual like customizer content pieces. Basic block, again, that's going to be your WYSIWYG editor, your basic card. Icon block is your icon card. So those font awesome icons, everything like that. Media block, that's going to be your images. Open embed is where you're going to put those iframes for those folders for anything like that. Simple maps, that's your map card. Sliders, it's like a carousel, it's like a mini Jumbotron. So if you have some images that you want to slide through on the website, that's what this is for. And views is for your calendars, your events, your articles, things like that. So all of your rows and cards that you've had previously have been kind of simplified and have been given shortcuts pretty much. They all kind of live here. And what is so nice about layouts is, again, is that you're able to drag things around to get them to fit. We know that layouts is a work in progress. We want to make sure that you guys are in there using layouts so that you can report back to us on things that are not really working right in layouts. Through feedback, we grow. So don't be afraid to kind of mess around in here and see what works, what doesn't. And even if you have suggestions, maybe there's a feature that you want to see in layouts. Maybe there's a card type that was available in your rows and cards that you're not seeing in layouts that you want to see represented here. This is a really good opportunity to see what works in layouts for you and what doesn't work in layouts for you. This doesn't mean that we're going to not support rows and cards in the near future. We're supporting it for the foreseeable future. But we also want to make sure that you guys are, and this is probably more for our veteran users, is that we are looking to get some feedback on layouts, get some activity in layouts so that we can continue to make it more robust, more responsive, and also include things that you're looking to see included. So definitely don't be afraid to leverage this. And you can also keep these drafted. You don't have to have these things published. If it makes you nervous to have a published layout on your site while you're kind of testing the waters, you can keep it in a drafted state and work on it from there. So I think that's what's so great about it, is that you're able to kind of keep a private layout so that you can make these changes, test these new things, and report back on us on what works, what doesn't work. This is also something that we are constantly poking at, constantly changing. So your feedback is super, super important to us when it comes to layouts, because we want to make sure that you guys are feeling empowered to use rows and cards and layouts either interchangeably, or if you're feeling really comfortable with layouts, we can start looking at even migrating the content to be all on layouts. So definitely don't be afraid of it. I know it's brand new. I know it's scary, but it's definitely worth taking a look at this guy. Phew. Okay. And last but not least, I want to talk a little bit about structure, getting these pages onto your main navigation in particular. So when we click on structure, I'm going to have a few more buttons than you do, just a different admin status, but you're going to find your menus. And you can create brand new menus, so you can have side menus on pages, anything like that. If you want a full overview, maybe you need less content overview, more structure overview, you can request that as well through the partner support system. And we're going to find our main navigation. It's going to live right here. Yours may look different just because we have so much stuff going on this site, but let's go ahead and edit our main navigation. And that bar at the top of your screen is always going to be your main navigation. It's never going to be named anything different, so you're always going to be looking for that. And you can see that we have some links that are enabled and some links that are not enabled. You can have parts of your menu be visible and not visible. So if you have maybe a yearly event that, you know, the content's pretty static and you don't feel like going back and forth all the time to make that addition and then remove it once it's done, you can simply uncheck it and will no longer be visible on the menu. But let's go ahead and get something new added onto this guy. So when we add this link, we can say that this is one of our sandbox pages. And we're just going to find this guy here. Perfect. And you see this number. So you'll see this lots of times when you're linking these internal pages. Again, this is that node. It's presented a little differently where it doesn't have that / and then that number. You'll often see it kind of squished into some parentheses, right? And this is a 5-digit number in this case. So again, this is that unique numerical identifier for content on the website, for the website to easily grab it without having to refer to a URL pathway. It's super smart, super handy. So it's enabled automatically. So that means it's going to be visible. Additionally, you want to set its parent link. Main navigation is going to put it front and center. You can also say that I would rather have this live under press releases or blogs or news articles, and you can have it live underneath it. But just for fun, there's an even better way to organize your parent and child links. But first and foremost, my sandbox page is right there. So when I hit save on this guy and we go and look at our page, it's going to live right here, all the way at the end. And you can kind of think of top to bottom from that list as left to right. So that was at the very bottom. It's going to show up at the far right-hand side. So if I go back and edit this menu and say, well, actually, I want sandbox pages to be all the way up top, right? And I want it to be a child link. So this directional tool allows you to change its orientation and also change its status. So we can say that I want sandbox pages to live under news articles. So I dragged it down, it automatically indented it. Or we can create a whole new one where we say, I want sandbox pages to live under events. You'll take your directional tool, you'll click and hold and scooch it inside just a touch. Then you'll hit save. We'll go ahead and look at those results. So we can see now when we hover over events, sandbox pages lives right here. Perfect. Okay, we only have a couple of minutes left. Perfect. Okay, and if anything comes to mind, I know I'm definitely one of those people who needs to digest the information and then come back with questions. That is what that partner support link is for. So let me go ahead and find my CMS page again. We can find this all over. So you can request feature requests or give direct feedback to us through this form. You can contact us directly to partner support. So this is just going to open a new email, no form, middleman included. There's a link down here as well. This also goes for asking for more in-depth training. Maybe you want to know more about menus, know more about the structure part. Maybe you're set on content and you just want to know more about structure, or vice versa. You're less interested in structure, more interested in some content pieces. One thing I also want to leave you guys with is a link to OIT's website and all of their accessibility goodies as well. If you're ever feeling maybe a little less confident about your accessibility skills, these guys have created so many handy guides that are freely available that you can access. And if you need us to kind of go through that for you and gather these as well, you can go through that partner support queue, kind of ask, hey, I'm looking for some accessibility guides on XYZ, and we'll happily dig through OIT's website to provide those for you. Because I know sometimes when you get there and you see all of this stuff, it can be a little overwhelming for sure. So again, I have that hard stop at 11, but feel free to reach out with any questions. We're monitoring the queue all day, and we look forward to hearing from you guys.
Thank you, Sunny.
Thank you. Have a good one, everyone.